Just kidding. Hey, everybody.
Welcome to Learning by Faith. We're a bit clunky. We haven't done this for a
We haven't done it for a
while.
while. We apologize that we haven't been able to record since, what was it? End of February, beginning of March. It was after I got back from
Been a while.
prior work.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. And our only excuse is that we've been busy. There's been a lot
I'm
going
tired.
on. And tired.
By the time we think about recording, we're like, let's just go to bed.
Let's do it another night. But we are committed. I'll just say we are committed in sharing our experience with others because we know there's lots of people who are considering homeschooling. We're talking to lots of people in our area that are considering it.
The end of the school year, people are deciding. They're
totally thinking about it. And so we want to continue this to share our experience being members of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, and we have left. We've been one school year now, almost removed. We're very close to the end of what would traditionally be the Weber School District end of year schedule.
Yeah.
It's very soon. So and our next video we'll talk about our
we're going to do
first
like
homeschool
a year in review and talk about what we did well, what we really did not do well at, and
we haven't even talked about it yet, so we both need to talk that through.
Stuff.
So
and so like Maycember, as they call it, when things get crazy with the end of school, that wasn't really a thing for us this year.
We definitely
kind of nice
noticed it.
We still had kids activities that were ending, soccer, scouts, whatever, but it wasn't
as crazy as it has been in years past. So we definitely noticed that. And yeah, we had some of our kids were finishing one sport and then another was starting up with t-ball. And anyway, so we've had a little bit of that, but other than that,
I think Scouts has been our busiest thing, right?
Yes, Scouts has been our biggest.
There's been a couple
biggest thing.
And
yeah, we did a Cub Scout camp out up in northern Utah, up in the Bear River area, and that was really fun. It was fun to go with all three of the boys, and Mom and Hattie could stay at home.
Girls' night.
So, and that was fun. Boys ate it all up, and I was happy to let them have so much fun up there. So a thought that I had when I was up there was we got there the first afternoon, evening, just palled around with people and did stuff, and then they did a bunch of night fireside and games, and then we went to bed, and then woke up the next morning, and then they had all these stations set up for all the boys to rotate around, do different activities, BB gun shooting, bow and arrow. Archery, they did an art project, they did rock wall. There was rocket launchers. Anyways, I noticed something with not only with my three boys, but with a lot of the other kids that were there, is just how much of a sponge children are. Even at that age, from 5 years old up until age 12. I was watching groups of kids when they'd get to a station and they'd listen to the camp counselor talk about the activity, give them instructions, and every single kid was just they were just a sponge. And I guess that was the impression that I had, was that it was a good reminder for me that kids are sponges, and especially while they're young, they're
taking it all in.
They're taking everything in, and they're listening to every word that you are saying, and watching every action that you're doing.
Their peers at school, they're taking it in.
They're watching everything, and they're learning, and they're really just intently listening. And so for me, it was a good thing to see and observe a group of kids and have that thought and that impression. And it's what's the scripture in the Bible, train up a child
in the way they should go.
Yeah. So when they're old, they won't depart from it. And so I was just thinking, gosh, while they're kids, now is the time to teach them, so that when they are older, they won't depart from it.
Yeah, it's kind of like you send your kids to Rome, don't be surprised if they come back Romans.
Yeah, that
And you heard that saying for the first time.
I had never
recently,
heard that
right?
phrase. Oh, reduce noise. I gotta not get so excited. I had never heard that phrase before, ever. So
and that's public school, right? Like,
yeah, like
don't be surprised if you send your kids away all day that they come back with different views than your family has, with different
yeah, that just spoke volumes to me when I heard that for the first time. I heard it I was listening to a homeschool book or something on the way to work, and I was like, what is this Rome thing? And so don't be surprised, send your kids to Rome. Don't be surprised if you send your kids to Rome that they come back Romans. And so I've been thinking a lot about that, and that we want to make sure that in homeschooling that our kids will maintain their identity. We help them find their identity, but then we also help them maintain their identity. And some of the identity is their, our family name, our family's way of life, our culture, our church, our beliefs.
Just that our family values and our church values, biblical, Christian worldview is instilled in them, and they're not.
There's no guarantee, and don't mishear me, there's no guarantee that they won't depart from it. But we as parents are trying to do everything that we can while they're young, while they are our children, to teach them and to train them up right. If and when our kids decide to choose a different path than the way they were raised when they're an adult, then that's their thing, and that's fine. But we're trying to give our best efforts right now.
Yeah.
I had another thought too that I wanted to share. Was one night when I went, so Cub Scouts is different now than when it was associated with the church. At least from where I remember it. My mom was our Cub Scout leader all growing up. So we did a ton of scouting stuff in our family growing up. And one night I was at the elementary school close to our house, where we do our Cub Scout meetings. And I was outside with the boys. They were all three boys were with their different groups, and the wolves were the wolves, and the lions were the lions, and then our older son was with the Air of Lights, and then so they were kind of spread out on the playground area doing different activities. And then my phone gave me a beep. And I looked at my phone, it was a notification, and it was the Weaver School District board meeting. The video was going live. I hadn't turned it off yet. In fact, I still don't think I turned it off, but I hadn't turned it off yet. And I was sitting there thinking, like, gosh, like I would normally have been the last 2.5 years, I would go to the Weaver School District board meetings once a month, and I would sit there for 2 to 3 hours and listen, take notes, and give feedback to the board members and try and advocate for what we wanted. And I didn't have to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I was using that time at Cub Scouts with my boys and investing that time in them. And that was, for me, that was a not a paradigm shift, but it was just like, whoa, like I have come 180, where I used to spend all that time with the board and trying to like advocate for what I wanted, the changes that I wanted to see for my family and my kids.
Hit your head against a wall.
And hit my head against the wall because I never got anywhere.
Yeah.
It was a losing battle, like I've said in other videos. And so here I was at Cub Scouts, and I was already enacting the change that I wanted to see. I want to be more involved, and I wanted to raise my boys up the way that I wanted. And they were there already doing service. One of the boys was picking up trash around the school, which I thought that was so ironic too. So anyway,
yeah.
So that was nice to see that I wasn't wasting my time.
Yeah.
With the school board.
Another thing about not wasting time, our second grader finished his math curriculum book on April 22nd. He was like done with second grade math.
And that was us slowing him down. throughout the year. Like we would finish a
He's
lesson
a go-getter,
and
yeah.
he'd be like,
Can
I want to
do
do another one.
And
We're
I'm like,
like,
I can't handle it.
You're
I
like,
can't do another one right now.
one's
I
good.
got to
You don't need to do it that long. And so he would probably finish. He would probably finish all of his stuff in how many hours? Like an hour. So
Make
our
maths,
second
like-
grader, between his math, his
Second
language
grade is
arts,
not
and his
long.
reading. Anyway, we'll give more of a review later, but we wanted to note that we did note that in our files, like, oh, our second grader
He
finished
was
his
our
math
first
book.
one to finish a book, and since then, our kindergartners also finished math. I started his language arts like halfway through the year. We did pre-K first, so I'm not worried about that. And then our fifth grader just finished math today. Woohoo! And
Didn't you say somebody finished language arts?
Oh yeah, our second grader also finished language arts a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So things are just winding down instead of like this buildup that you have at the end of school, public school, where it's like May is crazy and you're like, I just want summer. And then it drops off and there's nothing. We've just been like gradually going down to a lesser schedule.
And we'll leave that as a teaser for our next video to talk about
what we're doing this
review
summer.
and then what we're gonna do in the summer. And I think we've got our kids sold on it. I don't know. We still have more
on summer, you mean? What they're doing in summer?
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, so that was interesting. But so math, yeah. Yeah,
and we do want to note that we've seen emails from the school saying like end of year testing. This was
we're
maybe
still getting emails from the local elementary school and junior high, which is fine.
It just helps
us know what's going on.
But do you know how much end of year testing our kids had to do? Nothing. And that was so awesome because really it just is a marker for the school to know how they're doing as a whole. It doesn't help the specific child at all. It just stresses them out. Mm-hmm. And yes, our kids do have like assessments in math and language arts to kind of show they're improving, and they are, and it's so cool to see. But when you homeschool, you don't have to stay with the school's standards. You don't have to follow along. People ask me like,
requirement.
How do you make sure they're like learning what they would learn in fourth grade? And I'm like, you don't. Like,
we just picked up our kids where they left off when
they're
they
just
left.
Learning.
And it corresponds, the curriculum that we're using, the good and the beautiful, it does correspond with that grade level. And so they have been on the next grade level from where they left off in public school. But like our second grader, he's gone faster. We purposely didn't want to have him start, but again, that's another teaser for our next video. I think we're just going to keep going a little bit on light. But anyways, we'll talk about it next.
What I wanted to say though was, when people ask why, well, how do you know that they're keeping up with the standards? I want to say, the government made the standards for the schools to prove that they're teaching the kids like certain things. Our fourth grader doesn't have to learn Utah history in fourth grade, right? Like they'll get it sometime. We're going to talk about that sometime, but they don't have to hit it in the same grade. We're instilling a love of learning, and if they love learning, they can learn anything they need to know and fill any gaps that they have. So,
which, speaking of history, we didn't grab our book. Do you want to go grab it?
Oh yeah, but you'll see my yoga pants.
So let me tell a little bit about the history curriculum that we've been doing. We're actually doing two curriculums. We're doing a kind of like a world history through Good and the Beautiful. Is it a world history?
Yes. It's just their old history.
It's their old history one course book.
It's discontinued.
But we bought it, and yes, we're not reviewing next year yet.
We'll talk about
but she struggled through it with the kids, but it is what it is. But we're still doing it. Right.
But we wanted to talk about this.
Okay, so another homeschooling friend gifted our family the Tuttle Twins book. So we've actually purchased a lot of the Tuttle Twins individual books.
We have like their kids' books that talk about
like the economy and what it's like to be an entrepreneur. stuff like that.
But they have 2 history. They're like textbooks, except they don't read
But
like
it's in
textbooks
story
at
format.
all. It's in story format, and it's so fun. He's been reading them at night to the kids just before we put them to bed. Again, learning anytime.
We don't get through even one chapter. Like one chapter split up in different sections, and then there's things to talk about or images to look at, and then it even poses questions to the reader, and so we talk about them as a family
and
to say
we are learning so much.
Oh yeah, we are learning so much. I've learned more about American history through this coursework than I have from anything that I remember growing up. So
awesome.
This is our we're
unsponsored
plug for the
Tuttle Twins history book. And also the same friend that gave us the books said there's PDFs you can buy on their website with worksheets to go with it. So maybe we reread them when we're done and give the older kids
I was thinking we could do it. We could repeat it again in a couple of years when some of the younger kids are older. But anyway, we're learning lots, and it's solidifying a lot of things that we've thought politically. It's solidifying things on just learning history.
And it makes it so engaging because they have these Tuttle twins, right? That's why it's called Tuttle. That are learning it at the same time.
And they tell it in story format rather than a
so
traditional
cute
textbook where you're memorizing dates and places. They do a little bit of that, but it's more about the story and then what do we learn from it. And in the back of the book here, it always says those who don't learn from the past are condemned to repeat it. And so we talk about that's the importance of learning history, is so that we don't repeat it, that we can learn from it and make better choices, and we can analyze certain parts of history and then come to conclusions ourselves. And so again, that's one of those that we want our kids to have a true and accurate view, in this case, in this part of history, of American history. And again, even we are learning things that we're like, oh, we didn't know that, or oh, that's why things are the way they are today in our politics system or in government. And so it's been, our entire family has benefited from this.
And they love it. They say, Dad, can we read the history book tonight?
Yeah, we were later going to bed tonight than we normally do, and they were still like, Dad, please. And
They've
so I was
had
like,
later
sure.
bedtimes because we have been reading this all the time.
So it's made for some really fun reading. We've done lots of read alouds. You know, when we started this school year doing
Chronicles of
Narnia, and we got through like the 4th one. I can't remember which one. So we have like 2 or 3 more that we got to get through.
We'll talk about our read alouds next time too. That's another thing we will put on our list.
Anyway, so we kind of stopped that series, and then we started doing the history. And there's 2 of these, and so we're on the 2nd one. We just started the 2nd one last night. So I think once this is done, which will probably be in the summer, the rate we're going, that we'll do that. So
yeah, so fun. Well, I think that's it for today. We'll be back hopefully really soon, summing up our year, the good, the bad, the ugly. Anyway.
Yeah, we got to wait for the school year to end. It ends this week, so maybe next week.
Ends this week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
See ya.